Welcome to the Binge List, fellow TV and film fanatics. I'm Greg, and I make recommendations for TV shows and movies you can access from the comfort of your own home. And who doesn't love a fantastical journey to another world filled with magic, superpowers, prophecies, and monsters, and anything like that? Let's talk about some of the top fantasy options that you can jump in and stream immediately on a variety of different streaming services. So let's not waste any time. As always, stop mindlessly scrolling, stop wasting your time. Let's jump in and check it out.
Fire, the palace, the realm, they are not as you left them. With you gone, the realm began to decay and crumble.
I wanted to start this list off with a bang with one of the most fantastical series on this list, with the Netflix original series, The Sandman. This series follows the story of Morpheus, the cosmic being responsible for all dreams, as he escapes a century-long imprisonment and sets out to restore order in his realm. Along the way, you meet all kinds of different entities attempting to help and hinder the Lord of Dreams on his journey. The series delves into mythology, folklore, nightmares, and the human psyche, creating honestly one of the most visually stunning worlds in any show that I've ever seen. The series was developed by the comic book author Neil Gaiman himself, ensuring a faithful adaptation to his iconic work, and fans of this praise the show's ability to capture the essence of the original comic. And like I said, this series brings to life some of the most imaginative worlds from the comics, along with the intricate costumes and the dreamlike atmosphere and creatures from the series. And I love the world building in this. It's so much of what makes this show awesome, but honestly, the best part is still the complex characters that get brought to life by a star-studded cast, including Tom Sturges, Gwendolyn Christie, Boyd Holbrook, Patton Oswalt, and David Thewlis. All of these characters are well developed and intriguing, and you really focus in on Morpheus' personal journey and his relationship with the others. The Sandman is a unique blend of fantasy and drama with an awesome mythology that delivers a captivating and immersive viewing experience, absolutely worth the 11-episode commitment. On to number 2 on this list with another Netflix original, and this is Locke Key. This one is a fantasy horror drama series that follows the Locke family as they move into their ancestral home known as the Key House after the tragic loss of their father and husband. Within the house, they discover a series of magical keys that unlock different powers and abilities within the family members, and as they explore the secrets of Key House, they must confront a mysterious amount of enemies determined to steal the keys for their own nefarious purposes. Like Sandman and many of the others on this list, this one stems from a comic book origin, but the concept of using magical keys to gain abilities feels different enough compared to a majority of the other comic book adaptations we see, and the keys being a huge part of this series are often more than just a key, and they have some symbolic meaning, adding depth to the narrative. Along with strong character development, the Locke family unit goes through a lot in this series, dealing with everyday relatable scenarios while facing off against the more fantastical elements all around them. So this one is anything but one-dimensional, as it effectively combines these elements of fantasy, horror, this family drama, magic, and everything in between. So check out Locke Key for a thrilling and an imaginative journey in this normal world that is filled with magic and mystery. Definitely worth checking out for yourself.
Hello? Are you my echo?
Yes.
So for my number 3 on this list, I am going to go with my second favorite live-action Marvel series, and this is Moon Knight. I am personally a huge fan of the Moon Knight character in general, but I also feel like this one is a very different type of superhero story, as it's this psychological thriller that delves into the complex mind of this man with dissociative identity disorder. The series follows one of the personalities, Stephen Grant, who discovers that they share a body with this powerful Egyptian moon god. As he grapples with his multiple identities throughout the series, he is drawn into a dangerous mystery involving ancient artifacts and a shadowy organization. And if you enjoy complex and compelling characters, this is a perfect series for you. The presentation of Moon Knight and his many personalities and the dynamics between them are amazing. And Oscar Isaac is always outstanding, but this performance is on another level, essentially making this series. And throughout, he is playing 4, maybe 5 different characters, and he portrays them so well that you know exactly when he changes from personality to personality. On top of that, you get a show with a cool, unique visual style that incorporates elements of Egyptian mythology with this cool plot that twists and reveals things and keeps you engaged and guessing throughout. Moon Knight is certainly a bold and unconventional addition to the MCU, offering you this fresh perspective on the superhero genre, worth checking out for Oscar Isaac's performance alone. Next up is probably one of, if not the most popular series on this list, and this is the long-running fantasy horror series Supernatural. This one follows the infamous Winchester brothers Sam and Dean as they travel across the country investigating and fighting supernatural entities. The brothers embark on a lifelong journey to protect the innocent from dark forces, and if you are looking for a fantasy binge option, this is perfect for you because you are going to get to see these brothers go up against angels, demons, vampires, jinn, and so much more on their many adventures through 15 seasons. And Supernatural may seem like a very straightforward show at face value, but it does a really great job balancing the horror, the drama, the comedic elements with even some really good emotional depth, way beyond what you'd expect from these types of characters. And I know it's a weird reason to love a fantasy horror series, but you cannot help but enjoy the brotherly bond between these two. They have such a strong relationship, they would literally walk through heaven and hell for each other, which really resonates with you, forming the overall heart of this series. But if that does not do it for you and you want the more fantastical elements, the show is packed full of it over its 15 seasons. It builds a rich mythology, exploring tons of supernatural creatures and lore throughout. This one is for sure a cult classic that has captured the hearts of millions of fans. Like every other series, it has its flaws, but its compelling characters, its mythology make this a hefty but worthwhile binge option.
Well, we know a little about a lot of things, just enough to make us dangerous.
Let's jump from probably the most well-known option on this list to probably the least known option that I'm going to recommend, and this is Jupiter's Legacy. This is another superhero option here that is a drama that explores the complexities of the legacy and power of these two iconic heroes. The series follows two generations of superheroes, the original team led by the Utopian and Lady Liberty, and their now adult children who struggle to live up to their parents' legendary status. As the gap between the generation widens, tensions rise, and dark secrets end up getting revealed. Honestly, I was hard pressed to include this on the list because it was canceled after its first season because of the massive investment and cost to produce and some creative differences with the showrunner. And I'll get this out of the way early, it does end on a cliffhanger, which really sucks, but I did personally really enjoy this series and felt like it was definitely worth watching. And what makes it cool is this unique family dynamic that you're thrown into right from the start. These are mighty heroes, but they're still mom and dad, which is a fun balance you see unfold. And this makes the characters really fun. They are multifaceted and they explore the challenges of fame and power that come from being a hero in this world, but also the regular everyday challenges of a parent. And this is brought together by a pretty solid cast as well, with Josh Duhamel, Leslie Bibb, Matt Lanter, Tyler Mane all in this one, along with some really cool visuals and world building in this one. Like I said, they pumped a ton of money into this series and it boasts some really impressive visuals from the uses of their powers, epic fight scenes, the costumes, and just a well-developed superhero universe. While Jupiter's Legacy is short-lived, the series is visually stunning and boasts a really talented cast, well worth checking out.
90 years. 90 years, and what do we have to show for it?
We've made a difference, Shell.
So we're halfway through here, so let's talk about a modern twist on a classic tale with the series you can find on Hulu, and this is Sleepy Hollow. This is another supernatural option on the list, but this one reimagines this classic short story for a more modern audience. In the series, we get to follow Ichabod Crane, who is mysteriously resurrected in the present day. And then we meet Abby Mills, who is this skeptical police lieutenant, and they team up to battle supernatural forces threatening their town. And frankly, it's been a minute since I watched this series, so specifics are a smidge fuzzy here, but I do remember fully being invested in this one and really enjoying it. From what I do remember, the show combines a lot of different elements from different genres like horror, mystery, and even some hilarious buddy cop humor between the detective and Crane, with a ton of fish out of water humor as they infuse pop culture references and modern, for the time technology, and Crane exploring and seeing it for the first time. But a lot of this series hinges on the dynamics between Tom Mison and Nicole Beharie, with their contrasting personalities, creating engaging storylines and just an overall enjoyable vibe. And it has some fun fantasy elements as well, as they explore folklore and mythology, adding a solid level of intrigue to the series. So if you enjoy a quality combination of suspense, humor, and the supernatural, Sleepy Hollow offers a lot to enjoy throughout its 4 seasons.
My name is Ichabod Crane. I was enlisted under the command of General Washington.
General George Washington.
Do you know him?
So let's move forward to number 7 on the list with the series Shadow and Bone on Netflix. This is a series in my eyes that really embodies the fantasy world. It is set in a world divided by this monstrous shadow fold, where we meet Alina Starkov, who discovers she has an extraordinary power to summon light, and her newfound powers make her a target for just about everyone, from the oppressive government to dangerous criminals. And as she navigates this perilous world, she ends up joining forces with this outcast group in a world filled with magic, adventure, and even some political intrigue. And as I said before, this series creates a captivating fantasy world with distinct cultures and magical systems brought to life with these impressive visuals, set designs, and costumes. And because of this rich world, we get a very diverse set of characters with different backgrounds and some interesting abilities that you find out throughout. And the plot itself is actually pretty intriguing as well, keeping you fully invested with its complex storylines and some unexpected twists throughout, offering you a thrilling adventure filled with magic, mystery, and complex characters. Shadow and Bone is definitely worth checking out.
Is this true? Can you summon light?
So let's move on to my 9th pick, and this is my personal favorite option on this list, and this is the series Grimm that you can find on Peacock. This one blends police procedural elements with supernatural lore, slowly expanding into this rich world packed full of all kinds of creatures. It follows the life of Detective Nick Burkhart, who discovers he is a Grimm, a descendant of a long line of hunters tasked with keeping the balance between humans and these mythical creatures. As Nick navigates this new reality, he uncovers the dark side of fairy tales and folklore. This series delves into a variety of mythological creatures and brings them to life in their very own way with an awesome combination of practical effects and digital effects. And the series draws its inspiration mostly from the Brothers Grimm's fairy tales, reimagining classic stories in a modern context, giving the show a unique concept as it blends these two genres together. This is another one with a solid group of characters that are fun to root for, especially the growth of Nick Burkhart as this new Grimm, unlocking his family secrets and his relationships with the others throughout makes it really fun as they bring other dynamics to the story. Grimm offers an entertaining blend of crime drama and fantasy, focusing on the character development and mythology. 100% worth checking out.
Of our family is already passing to you.
What are you talking about?
This is no fairy tale.
10th on the list today is the gothic horror drama series set in Victorian London, Penny Dreadful. This one follows a group of intriguing characters, including explorer Sir Malcolm Murray, American gunslinger Ethan Chandler, and medium Vanessa Ives, as they confront supernatural threats lurking in the shadows. The series blends elements of horror, mystery, and suspense, creating a dark and atmospheric world, and their paths intertwine as they encounter creatures such as vampires, werewolves, and the horrors of the night. And I will say, out of all the shows on the list today, Penny Dreadful has one of the most distinct atmospheres that is consistent throughout the entirety of its show. It has this fabulous gothic aesthetic and some truly stunning visuals that create an eerie yet captivating world that you get to explore, even if some of it does contain some rather intense and graphic elements. The characters in this one are multifaceted and very morally ambiguous, which always makes it more fun because they're a little bit unpredictable at times, and they're brought to life by a talented cast that delivers very powerful performances, but no one character or performance really steals the show for me. It really feels like the entire group working together brings different elements to the series, and they seem to have some really excellent chemistry with each other. So Penny Dreadful is a visually striking option that's psychologically intense, that explores the dark side of human nature, mythical creatures, and all these very iconic characters. Well worth checking out for a unique and immersive experience.
A half-world between what we know and what we fear. A place in the shadows,
Rarely seen, but deeply felt.
So my last two picks on this list do stem from Marvel comic books, and the first one is the mind-bending psychological thriller series that certainly has its own unique take on the superhero genre, and this is Legion. This series follows David Haller, who, if you are familiar with the comics, is Legion. And in this series, he is a troubled man diagnosed with schizophrenia who is in a mental institution who discovers he possesses extraordinary abilities. As he navigates his complex mental state and takes control of his powers, David uncovers a sinister conspiracy that threatens to manipulate his reality. I want to start off by saying this series can be challenging to follow, and at times it might not make a whole lot of sense, but as the series carries on, you find yourself with a lot of aha moments, realizing what was actually going on. A lot of this stems from the series taking a very different approach to storytelling with a non-linear narrative, a psychotic viewpoint, and a very strong yet complex overall story. That includes these super unique and psychedelic visual aesthetics that is done very well, and also it's very creative. But because of the nature of this show, the characters are very complex too, for a variety of reasons, even acting extremely out of character in certain situations, making it hard to predict what's coming next. And I really love Legion. It is a series that broke some barriers for how superhero stories are told on screen. Definitely worth checking out.
I told you they took her.
Sydney Barrett, the girl who disappeared.
She didn't disappear. She took my place, and I took hers.
Wait, what?
And my final choice continues with the unconventional superhero storytelling with the Disney Plus original series WandaVision. And this series blends classic sitcom tropes with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we follow Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, and Vision as they live this seemingly idyllic suburban life in the town of Westview. However, as the series progresses, it becomes clear that something weird is going on and the couple's reality begins to unravel around them. Unlike Moon Knight and Legion, WandaVision does fit really nicely into the overall MCU, so it does assume that you understand different storylines and rules of the world going into it, but does not mean that you can't enjoy the show's innovative use of this sitcom style and combination of genres if you're not all the way caught up, but it certainly makes it more enjoyable if you are. I feel like the series looked really amazing during and outside of the sitcom moments, bringing to life the world with excellent set design, amazing costumes, and of course the use of effects to bring these super powered characters to life. And despite it being about super powered individuals, one of the most powerful parts of it is actually Elizabeth Olsen's performance as Wanda, who goes through a truly emotional journey and exploration of her grief throughout the series. WandaVision is a fun and unique series that again helps redefine the superhero genre and how those stories are told. Well, we're checking out.
I don't think that was ever in question.
We just don't know what to expect.
And that's going to do it for our list today, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I know every YouTuber says this, but click on the stuff down below, subscribe, like, share the video. It does help us get our recommendations out to others looking for good shows and movies that they can stream from their house. But again, thanks as always, and we'll see you in the next one.